Hi and welcome to my channel. Today's class is a complete yoga flow. It is relaxing, energizing and will help you find more range of motion in your body. So let's get started in a standing position at the top of your mat. We will begin with Ardha Uttanasana or half forward bend. For this, I want you to take your hands on your waist and as you exhale, start bending forward, bringing your torso parallel to the floor such that there is a 90-degree angle at the front of your hips. You can even keep a table or a chair in front of you. Place your arms there to help you find this posture. Make sure that your hips are not behind the heels. So shift the hips forward so they're directly above the heels. To do that, maybe you will need to shift your weight onto your toes. Let's be here for a count of 5. We are working deep into our hamstrings. And this posture particularly is really good to ensure we don't lose the alignment of our spine. Because what happens is when we're trying to bend forward, we do all sorts of things which are not good for the body. So this is a much better way to help us find that forward bend. You can even place your hands above the knees on your quads. I think we're done with a count of 5. So let's add in the next movement. On an inhale, rise up. Coming into crescent lunge, you can just walk the foot back to find a little more space between the feet. And let's add in a side bend. Left hand on the left quad, right hand points towards the left side. Let's be here for 5, 4. When you do this, kind of avoid this action. Try to push your torso back so that it is upright to the floor. Couple more breaths. From here, transition into Skandasana. Facing forward, bend the right knee, push back. This is level 1. This is your side squat. Stay here or bring the hands to the floor, point the left toes up and sit all the way back. Let's be here for 5. You can even point the left toe up to make it a little more challenging. 4. Any variation is fine, just choose one that works for you. 3. You can even add in this variation, opening out the chest, taking the left hand up for 2. 1. And now, shifting your weight forward, bringing the right knee to the floor, left foot presses down onto the ground, left toes down. Come onto your elbows. I'll shift back so that you can see me in the camera. From here, extend the left foot out as much as possible. This is a half frog variation, so a little less intense than the full frog, but still a lot of work is going on. If you feel comfortable, you can start walking your hands forward and bringing your chest closer to the floor like this. Again, these levels are optional. You can choose whichever level is comfortable for you today. Let's be here for a couple more breaths. And slowly rise up. Bring the feet together. And let's transition into Upavishta Konasana. So widening the legs here as far as is comfortable. We will do some side-to-side movement like this. So bringing the opposite hand to the opposite foot. As you do this, you will find that your backs of the legs start to open up a little more. And the more you do this, the more you will be able to bring the chest closer to the floor. So explore this movement and see how far it will allow you to move today. If you're just here, that is also fine. Again, remember, we only start going deeper into the postures because we're chasing a sensation which we stop feeling the more we do a posture. So just a couple more times. And from here, come back to center and start bringing your chest towards the floor. Even here is good. Even here is good. Just to avoid this, keep your shoulders away from the ears and walk forward. I like to stack my fists one on top of the other and place my forehead on them. That's always very relaxing. You can even use a block or a bolster to make this a little more restorative. Continue to breathe. As you're holding this, you will realize that maybe you don't need that length of the block. Maybe you can reduce the height a bit as your body is allowing you to sink a little deeper towards the floor. And from here, let's rise up. Join the knees together and let's come back to a standing position on the top of the mat to repeat the whole sequence, starting with Ardha Uttanasana or half forward bend. So let's begin. Exhale, lean forward. Hands can be above the knees on the quads. Make sure the hips stay above the heels so you have a nice projection off the floor, like a straight line. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and moving into crescent lunge on this side. Right hand on the right leg, left hand points towards the right side to come into a side bend. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and transitioning into half squat. For the sake of the camera, I will turn around. So half squat on this side now. So bending the left leg, again hands can be on the floor, coming into a side lunge kind of posture, or going all the way down and coming into Skandasana. You can also do a variation wherein your heel is not touching the floor and you can be somewhere here. So your option, you choose. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Transitioning into half frog. I shall walk back so I stay in the frame. My left knee comes down now, my right foot planted on the mat, and bringing the elbows down to the floor. Simultaneously working on bringing the chest to the floor if that's accessible. Wherever you feel a stretch, a deep stretch in the inner thigh, just hold it there. If you feel this is not intense enough, then you can walk the hands forward and bring the chest towards the floor. A few more breaths here. The inner thigh area can be very tight for a lot of us. It is also said that we store a lot of our stress here in this area. So when we stretch out with postures like the frog or this one or Baddha Konasana or even the pigeon pose, a lot of stress is released. I don't know how true that is, but they definitely feel intense. Emotionally, not just physically. From here, let's rise up and transition into Upavishta Konasana. Again, widen the legs, maybe a little wider this time, and let's add in the side to side movement, starting with the opposite side today. Let's continue this for a few more rounds, as many as you need. This is a very good way to warm up the body, and I always find that I can go a little deeper if I do this movement before doing the actual posture. So do try this in your practice and see how you feel. Already, I feel I'm a little deeper than I was earlier when we did this pose. One more time each side, and then bring the chest closer to the floor and sink towards the ground. Continue to breathe here. Always remember, you should go only as deep in a posture as is comfortable for you to hold for an extended period of time. If you've gone so deep in a posture that you feel like coming out of it within 10 seconds, 15 seconds, then you've pushed your limit too much. The right way to build flexibility is to hold it to the point of moderate discomfort. Challenge yourself to make it easy, but then hold it for a longer period of time. 1 minute to 3 minutes. Let's be here for a couple more breaths. In this posture, remember the goal is to bring the chest towards the floor, chin towards the floor, not necessarily the forehead, because that's a lot easier and that somehow can often make us compromise the posture. And on an inhale, slowly rise up, bring the legs together, come to sit up. Just use this time to lengthen the spine, hands or fingertips on the floor, push the floor away and get a little taller here. Just close your eyes and breathe. And exhale, relax. Very good. Let's move to the next part of the class. We are going to start with some back bends, mild back bends. So come into a prone position on the mat. Prone means with your belly towards the floor. Supine means with your back towards the floor. From here, hands on either side of the body. Come onto your fingertips here. On an inhale, roll the shoulders back. Lift the chest up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale. Last time. Inhale up. And exhale. Come onto your elbows into a Sphinx position. Make sure you're not sinking your chest. Keep the ears away from the shoulders. Let's be here. Breathe. A good way to make your Sphinx posture active is to press the backs of the feet onto the floor, pull the navel in and press the elbows towards the body. So the action is as if they want you to do this. This is not going to happen. It's just an isometric contraction. So keep it active. Navel pulled in, shoulders down, elbows pulling you forward or elbows trying to reach your toes without actual movement. Let's be here for 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Press the palms on the floor. Lift the elbows off the floor. And let's hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Interlock the fingers behind, roll the shoulders back, just opening out the shoulders. Just hold this here first for 5, lifting the wrists away from the body. 3, 2, 1. And then let's lift the upper body up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Keep one hand on top of the other. Keep your forehead down and bend one knee to come into Matsya Kridasana. I'm just going to shift so you can see what's happening. So the knee is almost in line with the right hip. Keep the ankle below the knee so there is a 90-degree angle there. And keep working on bringing your right hip to the floor. Be here just for a count of 3, 2, and 1. Release. Let's do this on the other side. Bend the left knee now. Knee in line with the left hip. Change your palm. Bring the other palm on top. Forehead down and keep working on bringing your left hip to the floor. Just a gentle opening for the inner thighs for 3, 2, 1 and release. From here, push back and transition directly into Anahatasana to open the front of the shoulders, hands forward and bring your forehead to the floor first. Just keep walking your hands forward till you feel a stretch in the front of the shoulders. Make sure your hips stay above the knees. If you feel comfortable, you can work on bringing your chest towards the floor. And breathe here. And then inhale, rise up. And come to Vajrasana. We will do frog pose now, and for that I'm going to get a blanket. If you would like to support your knees, you can also get a blanket. I have my blanket in place and we are going to move into frog pose or Mandukasana variation now. Keeping the knees wide, toes pointing out to either side, as wide as is comfortable for you. Keeping the hips pushing back. Bring your elbows to the floor and let's hold this here. Now the trick here is the further ahead your elbows are of the body, the lesser the stretch will be. So always work on pushing back, pushing the hips back. Let's hold this for a minute. This is indeed a very intense stretch, and like I was saying, many of the inner thigh stretches can be emotionally very challenging for a lot of us. And often it is a question of mind over matter when you're holding these positions, because it's not so much the posture that is intense, it's the emotional turmoil that it creates which is more intense. But I guess each one of us responds differently to a posture. And a good way to make it more comfortable is to focus on the breath. That is what I do. I slow down my breath and I count my breath when I'm holding any posture which poses any kind of challenge for me. All right, our minute is up. Very gently, bring the feet together, rise up, join the knees together and transition into lying down on your mat. I'm going to just let the blanket be here, give myself a little more comfortable position, and we will conclude this with happy baby. So point both your feet up towards the sky, grab hold of the inside edge of your feet and press the knees towards the floor. Remember not to lift your lower back up too much. Keep it planted on the floor. Move against that as you press your feet. For 5, 4, you can even just rock side to side. 3, 2, 1. Here, if you would like, you can just add a little more dynamic movement. Stretch out one leg and then release the other leg and release. Going a little deeper into our hamstrings, just what we were working on when we started the class with a half forward bend or Ardha Uttanasana. Keep going like this. Pulling the leg, finding a little more flexibility in the backs of the legs. Last round on each side. Stretch the right leg out and back, left leg out and back. Place both the feet on the floor. Pull the right knee into the chest, left leg extends out straight. And drop the right knee to the left side for a spinal twist or Jatara Parivartanasana. Slowly release. Straighten the right leg this time. Pull the left knee into the chest. And then drop the left knee to the right side and look towards the left, keeping the left shoulder pressing towards the floor. Using your right hand on the left knee to get it into position if required. Wonderful. Come back to center and straighten both the legs, palms facing up, back of the hands on the floor. This is the time to move into Shavasana. I would recommend 3 to 6 minutes or longer if you have the time today. This is where I leave you to your practice. Thank you so much for joining me today.